Dead on arrival, boys and girls. That's basically, I think, how we feel here. How you doing, buddy?
It's been a long couple days.
I'm not gonna lie here. It was. Remember, you know what? I kind of blame you because if you go back to the last episode, you said, "Oh, Penn or UCLA hasn't led a single quarter this entire game or this entire season. What's gonna happen? Oh, they're gonna lead this one. Oh, they did more than that, buddy.
They led the entire game.
Well, with that being said, we do have a special guest today. I'm very excited to introduce him. UNC Greensboro graduate, former UCLA postgame radio host on Fox Sports Radio, not only for the basketball team, but the football team. Pro tennis announcer right now for the Challenger Tour as well as the Tennis Channel. Former ESPN volleyball announcer and now current Big Ten volleyball announcer. He's now the announcer for Major League Table Tennis, so be on the lookout for that. He's the host of sports media with the Human Touch podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Finley.
Guys, long time no see. Thanks for having me. Oh, my goodness. Nick, we go way back. So it's good to see you. Good to see you guys. And I'm thrilled to be a part of this.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this with us. I know you're a very busy man right now. If we see the updates on social, I see the updates on social media. By the way, congratulations on the Major League Table Tennis thing.
Thank you. Yeah, guys, be on the lookout. So that'll be coming up later this month in Chicago. So I'll definitely be sending out links and stuff people can watch. And it's going to be fun, man. That sport is growing like crazy. And now that they have a pro league in the U.S., it's going to hopefully take off like it will.
Love it. All right. So I want you to go ahead. You're a UCLA guy. I want you to go and take your victory lap right now before we get into the nitty gritty. Go ahead. Let me ask you a question first.
Sure.
This is easily the biggest upset of this season in college football, right?
Unquestionably.
Now, how far back do you think we could probably go ahead and put this in the upsets? Because this was an 0-4 against the top 10 ranked team. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I remember a game in 2017 when Texas A&M was at the Rose Bowl. Josh Rosen was the UCLA quarterback. And correct me if I'm wrong, but UCLA was down 29 points in the second half. 29 points they were down in the second half. And those guys came back and win. Unbelievably. It was just, that was basically what got, at the time, that Texas A&M coaching staff fired. And I would put the win for UCLA over Penn State this past weekend even more impressive than coming back from 29 points in 2 quarters against Texas A&M. I really would. So it's on that level. But again, guys, it's not something you want to be remembered for because, as you said, you haven't led a game the first 4 games. You've lost to New Mexico. You've lost to UNLV. It's not like something you're going to tell your kids one day and want to toast and celebrate. But it is an accomplishment.
No, 100% agree there. I see where you're coming from there, and as being a UCLA fan, you must be riding a wave right now that we are underneath that wave right now. We are underneath the water, as you would say. You're on top of the wave surfing it, and we're the ones getting pulled down by the undertow.
It's easy to feel that way because it's only a few days since the loss, but from an objective persona here, Penn State football the program is in much better long-term hands than UCLA. And I think anybody that is a college football fan, everybody has a bias, but I think anybody would say that just because UCLA has all of their coaches have been fired, their head coach, OC, all these guys have been fired. So I don't know what the future looks like. Penn State, okay, they got embarrassed, but you guys are still 3-2 or something like that. You have consistent recruiting. The difference is people show up to your home games. At UCLA for football, it's hard to get people to show up to games, even if the team is good. And that's a problem. And the other problem is that in UCLA, the football team is well aware of this. They're not advanced or up with the times with the biggest of those who understand how NIL works in regards to football and college football. So they're kind of playing catch up here. It shouldn't be that hard to recruit. But while it is a stinging sensation you guys are feeling, it's one win, it's one loss. And can UCLA build off of this? I don't know. But they've got, if you look at their schedule, it is not going to get that much easier. So we'll see. I guess I'm cautiously optimistic in that sense, but part of me is pessimistic just because of you look at who they have to still play on the road, and that's just a completely different thing. But you never know, especially when you break everything up and you've got players that want to play for certain coaches and they give it their all, and then you've got a quarterback, Drew Aller, who, look, I got cousins that are big Penn State fans, and I was talking to them a few weeks ago at a wedding in Philadelphia, and they were like, yeah, we don't know about this Drew guy. It's like, he's okay, but Penn State hasn't really played anybody at the beginning of the year, so we're not sure what that's like. So I feel you guys with the quarterback situation.
It almost feels like you were just watching our podcast, because everything you just said right now is everything that we rely on. Andy, what do you think about this?
The sky's falling, fall to the earth. This was supposed to be the year, and we lost to 0-4 UCLA.
Yeah, he's kind of been on a bit of a unalive watch. You know, I don't think we're allowed to say the other word on YouTube. So it's been fire and brimstone for Andy here for the past few days, and rightfully so. Though, I mean, he is correct. We did think that this was the year, coming off of one of the biggest years in Penn State football history before this, moving forward, going into this season. The expectations were so high, and then week 1 happened. And then week 2 happened. And then week 3, we were like, okay. I started literally making up delusions in my mind going, oh, maybe the offensive coordinator, Colt Nagy's just playing cat and mouse. We've got Oregon. We don't want to show all of our cards before we get there. And we lose Oregon. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, it was we took it to overtime, you know, even though it was all in the fourth quarter. We can't be upset about that, you know, or we were upset about it. The two of us were very upset about it, because we saw the game. But then we go and like, okay, UCLA, this is going to be the game where we pivot. We're going to turn around. We're going to make the right mistake, or fix the mistakes and make the right choices. And then, like Andy here so poetically put it, the sky fell.
Yeah, the sky fell, but it's not going to feel like that in a few weeks when you guys probably accrue a few wins. And okay, you win 9 games this year. Like, some teams would do anything to even sniff 9 wins, and UCLA is one of them, where it's been a long, long time. I mean, you had a couple of decent years with Chip Kelly, never got to 10 wins, did get to 9. But when you start 0-4, there's no way you're going to go to 9 unless you win out and then you win a bowl game, which crazier things have happened. But I would give it a week or 2, and then we'll really know, I think, what these teams are made of and whether you really have the right to feel as panicked as you are. And then from UCLA's standpoint, everything was like, it was so like stereotypical. Like, we got nothing to play for. Let's play for our coach who's now leading us, you know, the interim coach, and nobody cares about us. It was the whole, like, I can just imagine what the pregame locker room speech was. Nobody's given us a chance today against Penn State. You got to show them. Like, I know, you know, everybody that's at this stadium thinks you're going to lose. How are you going to take that as a player? And they rode with it, and whatever was said worked.
I completely agree with you there. And you being, you know, you previously followed UCLA football, it being the post game for Fox Sports Radio and stuff like that. So obviously you have some ties there, and you have family who's gone to that school as well.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, as I feel like as a UCLA fan, a Penn State, you have a very similar feelings as a Penn State fan. It's almost always that existential dread every season of, it's not if, It's when it's going to happen. And so how do you feel like the past few years as UCLA football has gone through the roller coasters? And maybe for some new Penn State fans, maybe you can give them some advice of how to ride this wave.
Yeah, that's you brought up some good points there. We in UCLA, and I say that just because I still work for the school doing like different other sports, but like from a football standpoint, and they know it, like they're in the shadows of USC football. So in that way, I can compare it to say like a Penn State, where maybe there's another school. Maybe I don't mention the name for fear of triggering anybody, but there's other schools that
do it. I want to see this. Do it.
I mean, I guess Ohio State, you could throw that in.
There it is. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, where they kind of overshadow. So in that sense, regionally, there are other schools in the conference that are close by that sort of have always seemed to have the others' number, relatively speaking. USC, UCLA, at least, many more fans out here in LA that are USC fans, as you all well know about that, compared to Penn State. But yeah, I don't know how to take this, man. As far as the state of the program and where they are, the problem I think is like you look at a guy like Dante Moore, who you guys are well aware of at Oregon, and you're like, that guy was a 5-star, played as a freshman at UCLA, and why can't you keep him? And not only that, look at what he's doing now. So it's just, there's a lot of like, man, if only we had that guy not transfer. But like, think about it. Look how, I mean, I saw something, and you guys would know more than me. I saw something. Dante Moore is like a dark horse for Heisman. And to think that he left UCLA after 1 year and he was mismanaged there and then goes on to do these things, that's a UCLA killer to see that happen. And I think what hurts UCLA football fans the most is that they want to be able to get guys again and keep guys. A lot of guys are either they're not winning out in these bidding wars for players. They're getting some decent transfers, but we haven't seen 5-star recruits out of high school come to UCLA since Jim Mora was the coach. That's been a while.
That definitely goes back there a little bit. And I can see just the existential dread in your eyes, but I'm just curious. How you feeling, buddy? Like, what do you got? Any questions or anything?
Well, like the Dante Moore stuff, I mean, Penn State fans are dealing with that it's not the same thing, but with Bo Perbula transferring to Missouri this year, and he's killing it over there. Explosive offense, and then we're over here watching our offense kind of sputter and try to find its way. So, see kind of a parallel there between Dante Moore not looking great at UCLA, goes to Oregon. Now he's a Heisman contender. If Missouri pulls off the upset against Alabama this week, Bo's going to be in that same conversation. And he was in our locker room last year.
That's so hard as a fan to think that. To some extent, it's like, wow, we had him. But then I know that as fans, I think just, okay, so like the hierarchy of what pains you the most. Your team losing. But right below that is somebody who was on your team who goes to another team and crushes it. So like there's this hierarchy of what hurts, the most painful things that happen to a sports fan. Your team loses, and then right underneath that is your team giving up a guy and then seeing that guy thrive somewhere else.
It's that
the backup quarterback. The backup quarterback's always the most. Sorry. The backup quarterback's always the most. Yeah, the backup quarterback's always the most popular player on the team.
Yes.
Oh, you don't know? You're not watching me talk about Grunkmeyer on this channel, the backup for Penn State. So we brought up his name a couple times, not even in jest either. So it's one of those things where you really do realize at the end of the day, it's that FOMO feeling. It's that fear of missing out. Oh, we had this, and now we don't. And it's like you said. I love how you said, losing will all, nothing beats losing, But just right under there is, wait, he was here, and now he's doing that. Oh man, like, but you know what is even worse than that, which I can put above losing. is if you play against him and he beats you.
That's a double whammy there. Yeah, that
Missouri, Penn State in a bowl game, let's say, and all of a sudden, 35-7, you're going, I don't know about this one.
Well, that would actually be a good storyline for bowl game. I think what a lot of people are wondering is, like, how do you bring back excitement to some of these non-major bowl games and get people to watch them? If you have a storyline like that, you're going to get those guys to maybe play in it, and then people are going to watch it. That would be good theater. So I think from a viewing standpoint, I think it's a win, but it's going to be painful if you're on the wrong side of that.
We need all those higher ups who are listening to who actively listen to our podcast. I hope you guys are taking notes right now.
Oh yeah, they definitely are listening.
You know. But moving forward, though, just with the state of everything, how do I word this in the right way? With your professional expertise, let's just say you're in a room with, let's say you have an interview with James Franklin right now. All right, this is a perfect example. What are the questions that you are asking him right now in regards to what's going on with his team?
Yeah, I think the first question would be from, 30,000 feet above, so to speak, would be, how comfortable are you with your quarterback? And do you see a ceiling with Drew? I think just taking the temperature of my cousins who are all Penn State fans, a lot of them went there. They're not like that high on him. They feel like whatever he's shown, there's not going to be much more after that he's going to bring that they haven't seen before, which is kind of limiting. So I know that James Franklin, he's a proud man, as he should be, because he's won wherever he goes. But I'd really like to ask him straight up, without the coach speak, what did you do that you regret not doing? Or what did you not do that you wish you could have that put your team in this situation? Most of the time when you ask that, you're going to get, as you guys know, you're not going to get you're going to get coached.
Hold on. I'm curious here. Andy, do you think that you could do the James Franklin coach talk answer to that? Because you pretty much are the mind of James Franklin.
Ooh.
Oh, he answered it somewhat in the press conference, but he goes back to, we've done a lot in the 12 years. He's not going to let 2 losses define his career at Penn State and everything they've built here. There's still a lot to play for. They win out, which sounds like the craziest idea in the world right now. They're in the playoff because they'll have the wins over Ohio State, Indiana, and Nebraska. That's going to stack up against any resume, even with the UCLA loss. But yeah, he was pretty much on the, it's all on him, but he blamed everybody.
See, that's the thing that coaches too subtly.
Yeah. He blamed everybody and then said, but ultimately it falls on me.
Yep. Yeah. It's like when you, whenever you say, or somebody says to you, no offense, but, it's the same exact thing. Okay. By you saying that beforehand, now I know that you mean what you're going to say, and I'm going to take offense. So thank you. You know what I mean?
It's the 2-for-1 special there.
Yeah.
And I think from that question, I gotta stop saying that. From that question, how do you think? Then the next thing is, now you have Drew Aller in the room. Now, okay, I want to keep this going because you do interviews. For those who don't know, he's got the show. I had it on the top of my head. I just missed it. Sports Media with the Human Touch podcast. He just recently had Neil Everett from ESPN on there. So what are you asking a question to Drew Aller in this situation now? If you got him one-on-one, what are you asking him?
So if I'm going to ask him something that is going to really get people's attention, it's probably going to be something where I'm going to have to sit down with him, and it's going to take a few questions to get to that question.
Yeah.
all of these guys at the top, you guys already know this. Like a lot of them are media trained. They know what to say. They know what not to say. They've been prepped and primed on what words to say when you lose, what to say when you win, as if to not give bulletin board material. But if I'm with Drew in the off season, when he's not dealing with the day-to-day, all right, we got a game plan for this team, we're just coming off a loss, and his mind is in a different space, I'd like to sit down with him, get to know him a little bit. And then what I would try to do is, because I think people really want to know like what's going on. It's a cliche thing to say, but we want to know what's going through people that we admire, their minds when they're making decisions and what they're thinking. With that said, I think when you ask a player that question, you're going to get some resistance. Like you're not going to get a good answer because they know what to say in those situations. But if I'm sitting down with Drew and I try to get him to talk about how he thinks outside of football, and so I'm like deflecting, and I'm not putting the pressure on him to talk football. But then I slowly work in from how he thinks outside of football. And then the goal of an interviewer, this sounds manipulative, but like you really want to get people to say things that are unique and that they wouldn't say to other people. And how do they do that? You make them comfortable. So like if I can get him to talk about what he's like and what he thinks about things outside of football, and then I can slowly, subtly turn him back into football and get him to say something that would be beyond the cookie cutter answer. I think that's what I would do. But first, I wouldn't hit him with something hard off the top. Throw him some softballs, get him to talk about outside of things of football, and then steer him back in, and then get him to say something where it's like, all right, now I really know what's going on inside.
That's a great answer. And now I want to pivot really quick because now I'm curious what you would do. So now you've got Nico Imaileva. I probably just butchered that name. Now you have him in a room now because I want to give you your moment here, for you silly. What do you say to Nico?
Well, he was getting a lot of flack for all of his, you could say, missteps, from leaving Tennessee under those conditions and then taking less money. And then again, I'm not in his inner circle, so I don't know what his chain of command is like. I know like his dad is a big part of like what goes on with his son and what decisions are made football wise. But I will say that like, regardless of how poorly he played in the first 4 games, you don't just lose it if you'd showed it the year before. So maybe they got rid of the guys that they think are leading him down the wrong path. We see it all the time when players are not valued or their coaches don't get the most out of their players. It happens all the time where we see 4 or 5 stars that plunge and they never become the talent that they were supposed to be. But I think for Nico, I think what I would say to him is I admire his character, because like he could honestly just quit. He could have not only not tried and just given up on the season, he could have left the team. And for him to stay, even with all the heat and with all the people on social media, taking verbal shots at him, to hang in there. Say what you want about the guy. He's been humbled a lot. But I do have mad respect for him to just keep showing up and doing the job, and then to do the job as well as he did. But I think if you see how he played, and we'll know a little bit more about this in the next few games, but if he plays like this and continues to, like he did against Penn State, then you can't put a lot of blame on him for the first 4 games. Coaches didn't use him the right way. And that's always the thing. It's like the coaches are the first to get the blame, but it's not always their fault, but it's their program. So there's so many different intricacies to it. But I would say I'm proud of his character and that he was able to do what he did despite all the heat that he was feeling from so many different people.
Love that. And last but not least, I wanted to save this one for the last.
Yeah.
I think you know who I'm going to say you're in a room with now. You're in a room with Jerry Neuheisel now.
Okay.
And his dad just watched him on TV win his first game. What are you saying to that slick-haired, smooth-looking my man right there?
Gosh, I remember traveling with the team one year, and I think he was at that point, was he a grad student in 2017, or was he a wide receiver coach? He was part of the team. I think like the first thing is you're proud. You're proud because you went there, and there is a camaraderie. There is a respect that the players have for Jerry, and just kind of watching how in the years past and going to practices, how the players look up to him and how much it sounds cliche, but how much he cares about the program. I mean, he played there, but here's where his story is really inspiring. Like, he wasn't the go-to quarterback when he was at UCLA. He's kind of the cool underdog story. I think there was a bowl game where he came in and flourished. And so, like, he's kind of the unsung hero. And if he can channel that as a coach and he can channel that around the program and that messaging gets out, I think that is probably what's going to be best for UCLA. As a dad, I'm not telling him anything other than I'm proud of him because this is him. And of course, his dad was the head coach. So there is that like, okay, yeah, Dad, you've done your thing, but I want to be me. So I think if I'm Jerry, I'm respectfully thanking my dad for all of his inspiration and all this stuff. But I'm also, all due respect to the Neuheisel family, I'm probably like, well, you know, Dad didn't stick around that long at UCLA, so I'm probably going to take what he said and and I'm going to learn from him and do a little differently. So.
I love that answer. That's such a great answer there. And before we start to wrap things up here, Andy, is there anything else that you'd like to say or bring up?
Yeah. Being a professional broadcaster, what did you think of CBS going to his dad so much and him celebrating? Or is that just, hey, let's show the cool father-son moment?
There is a way to overdo it. There is. It's a fine line. It's subjective. Might not be the best comparison, but CBS showing Taylor Swift, does it take away from the game? It's a great story and it needs to be told. He works for them. It makes total sense. But does it take away from this team atmosphere? Like if it was an individual sport, I mean, tennis, they're going to their coaches. They're panning over the coaches like every 2 seconds. It's exaggeration. So I didn't count how many times they went to him. They should have gone to him. But I think Jerry would say too, like, he doesn't want that. I think it was a great day, but it's only one game. And it is easy to overdo it because of the emotions that went into it. But I think if Jerry looks back, he's like, yeah, that was great, but I don't want it to take away from what my team did. And that's the thing. I think if you do it too much, you take away from what the team did. You have to tell that story. But there are other stories that are really important too about what happened on the field. The players, I know their coach is a big part of it, but like the players, and you can't lose sight of that. And sometimes you have to balance, and it's not an easy thing to do. Like there's no question. The thing is, Andy and Nick, like there's no right answer to this. And that's one network is going to do one thing and one network is going to do another thing. And you've got bigwigs on both networks, executives, and they will look at the other and say, why did you do that? And neither one of them is wrong. Neither one of them is right. So it's all about timeliness and how much you do it. It was obviously easy because he was already on the desk. So I get that. You got to do it. But don't take away from the guys on the field too. And I think Jerry would be probably like, Dad, okay, enough of this. Like, let me do my job. And it's only one game. We didn't win the Super Bowl or anything like that.
I love that. One quick question before we wrap this up here. I just have does the Rose Bowl have a strict no rush the field policy? I'm curious what happened after that game.
I saw a video of it. I don't know if they had enough fans there, but
I think there was more Penn State fans in the stadium.
So there was the New Mexico home game a few weeks ago that I saw that they announced the attendance to be like 33,000. Look, there were not 33,000 people at that game. I think if you physically counted the amount of tickets, you probably got 20,000. To be fair, there was probably a lot of people that paid for seats that didn't show up. It was tough, and that's the ongoing dilemma with UCLA is you're playing in a historical venue, but you're 25 or whatever 30 miles away from campus, and the stadium is too big, but there's no room on campus, and there isn't other options at this moment. But yeah, like there probably was. I don't know for sure if there's a rule about it, but as you guys know, if there's enough kids in the stands, there's nothing you can do about it.
Rules be damned.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, with that being said, Brian, where can everybody find you, not only on social media, but where are you going to be broadcasting over the next few days?
Yeah, so let's see. So we got the Major League Table Tennis. That's coming up the October 24th through 26th in Chicago. It'll be on Table Tennis TV, but then I'll put this out the week after. It'll most likely they'll condense it and they'll put a chunk of it on CBS Sports Network. So they'll take some of the highlights and stuff and they'll package it for like an hour or something like that. So I'll let you guys know about that when I hear more on that. And then this weekend, I'm going to Northern California to do some pro squash of all things. So I'm getting into the racket sports stuff. Yeah. And then I'm doing a bunch of volleyball. I have some cool volleyball news that I can't quite share right now, but I'll share with you guys as soon as I can. And then, doing some UCLA volleyball and stuff like that. And but the squash is going to be interesting this weekend, and then the volleyball, I'll definitely let you guys know on that. But there's some cool.
Where can we find the squash? Where is that?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's a PSA World Tour. It's got like a ton of subscribers. It's just go Pro Squash World Tour. You type that in, and you're going to see so many different clips and highlights. It's a big, and it's the cool thing, guys, is it's an Olympic sport in 2028. So
awesome.
Yeah, so being in LA, it's not a bad thing. So with it being an Olympic sport, it's like, let's do this. Let's see what happens. You never know what can happen in 2028.
I love that. Andy, any final thoughts?
No, that's all I got. Like I said, I'm just over here just sulking.
It's okay. That's why I felt it was the most appropriate episode to bring a guest on for this one. But with that all being said, on behalf of Brian and Andy, I am your boy, guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.